Sarah here. Okay, so I am finally starting Clockwork Angel. It only took me 5 days after I set myself to do it, but whatever. So, I've decided for this book I'm going to do a bit more of an in-depth view of it. I'm going to, because whenever I stop, because I don't think I'm going to read this all in one sitting, for one thing I don't have the time, So I'm just going to tell you my thoughts so far, and I'm going to try and compile these videos together. I'm not super great at editing yet, so wish me luck. Okay, so I'm just getting up to chapter 3, and this is a baby start, but I've gone through 2 chapters and the prologue, and I'm already in love with Tessa. Okay, not in love, but I love her. Tessa is amazing, and oh, I hope we find her brother. Okay, spoilers if you didn't really get that, because this is a reading vlog. I don't know what you were expecting. But yes, I hope we find her brother, because I'm worried, but I'm kind of convinced he's already dead, so. But yes, so I'm actually really surprised, which I was not expecting, because I'd heard a lot of things about the series, but I guess I never did ask who the big bad was and what the whole plot was. I know things about characters. I don't know the actual plot, which is a good thing, because it means I'm being surprised. So, for one, as soon as Tessa gets off the boat from America, she gets kidnapped by the Dark Sisters, who are demons, I think? Pretty sure they're demons? It was never explicitly said, but I mean, one of them had claws, so. And she was being prepped to marry this magistrat, whoever the heck that was, or is. I'm assuming he's the big bad in the series. That might be a bit premature of me. And she has to practice the change, which, near as I can figure, is a bit like Tonks metamorphosizing into someone, except different because she more takes on the memories of the person she turns into. And she does it by holding on to a piece of them, like a piece of their clothing. In case it was a bloodstained earring, so quite literally a piece. So she can change into them, which is a little bit strange. But from what I know about Tess, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I think I'm right. I think she's a result of a shadow hunter and a demon. So I think she's at least part warlock, part shadow hunter, from what I recall. So I think that's why she's got these shape-shifting abilities. But I've never heard of a warlock having shape-shifting abilities, and I've read the Shadowhunter Codex. So this must be just the result of it being a Shadowhunter with a demon, but that was also something I was told that was not possible, so I'm sure we're going to figure out how on earth that happened. And we've met Will, and he's already got the Herondale cockiness. Lovely. I'm thrilled. And we've met Jem, who honestly seems like a sweetie. I've met him for like 10 seconds, but he does. We've met Henry Branwell, and I'm pleasantly surprised by him. Like, I was hopeful, but he seems nice at the moment. But granted, they don't know about Tessa's changing thing yet, which I'm sure is going to all come unstuck in the next chapter, because at the moment she's not looking like herself because she was planning an escape, and then Will busted in and then broke her out, and they've killed the Dark Sisters, or at least one of them. And I think now she's in the Institute, but I sort of where the chapter ended. And the reason Will got there is because he and Jem found it. Body of a dead young girl, and she had a dagger with a orifice, I think is the word. It's a snake eating itself on it, and they say that that's a symbol. It's usually a sign that mundanes are messing with magic, and that never ends well. So, yeah. This magistrat person is freaking me out, and I haven't even met him yet. Because they're just like, oh, you're going to be the perfect bride for him. He's going to want you because you can do this. Because you can do this change. And at one point, they let slip, he pretty much caused you to have this. I'm like, is he her father? Is he a demon and her father? Because if he's wanting to marry her, that's a whole other level of creepy. I mean, I know he's a demon, but still. So, if not, is he like Asmodeus and is like a prince of hell or something and can order another demon to procreate or something? Yeah, that's at the moment, that's what I'm coming up with, and I'm not completely positive. Also, I'm being a little quiet because it's like 12:30 and my parents, or at least my mum, are in bed, so. But I just wanted to get my thoughts out as they come to me, because I know if I did this in the morning, I would have forgotten more of my immediate thoughts. But yeah, basically, Will's already showing cocky tendencies, but I will admit he's witty. Like, so far he's been quite witty. I will give him that. I like wit. But Tess has just been awesome. Like, she was planning to, she already tried to escape, and that whole thing with Miranda, when her face caved in, but there was no blood, I'm like, was she a demon? What was she? A golem? Very confused. Yeah, so hopefully we find her brother, but considering he's not in the pretty main colours on the thing, I'm thinking he might be dead. Which would be sad, because Tessa will be sad. And then I'll be sad. Because I won't be sad because he's dead, because I don't actually know him yet. I'll be sad because he's the brother of Tessa and she's just lost her last living family member. Also, her aunt, Henrietta, sounds awesome. I'm sad she's dead as well. So Tessa's not doing so well. But she's been saved, so hopefully that goes well. But considering the bigotry that's rampant at this moment, I'm not exactly hopeful. But yes, that's where I'm at the moment. I will get back to you as soon as I read some more. Which won't be tonight, because like I said, I've got a lot of work to do. I will be moving soon, so I've got to get this work finished before I move, so this will be a bit of a sporadic read, but hopefully will not go the way of In the Afterlight, which is to say I haven't finished yet and I'm putting it on pause because I'm not in the mood. But considering how much I'm enjoying this and just Tessa's character, I don't think I'll be doing that. I think I'll just want to keep going because I don't know if I've said this already, but I love Tessa. So I think she's going to quickly become a main favourite character for me because she's just... There's a scene in this where it's like, she bit me, and it's like, lady, you do not bite someone who's trying to save you. And she's like, excuse me, if a man grabs me out of nowhere without so much as introducing himself, I think I'm allowed to bite. And I'm like, you go, girl. You tell them. They being rude. They say, no, you're in the middle of a fight, but you can still say hello. It's called being cordial. Anyway, I'll let you go now, and see you real soon. Okay, so I'm now up to chapter 5, so I've read 2 more chapters. Yes, I know, I'm going at a snail's pace, but I am making progress, and I am still really enjoying it. The more and more we meet of Tessa, I'm just like, you're wonderful. Though, she did show that she's a product of her time in this one when she was surprised to find out that Charlotte fights demons as well, and she's like, surely she can't, she's a woman. Women don't have those types of feels. They don't feel bloodlust. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, 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 sweetie. You are a product of your generation. But I'm sure that will change. She's already got a fierce determination. And speaking of Charlotte, I adore Charlotte Branwell. I was worried at first because this is at a time when bigotry is rampant. And I was like, oh, are all the Shadowhunters going to be bigots apart from, like, Will and Jem? It's just going to be awkward. But, no. She is lovely. She reminds me a little bit of Minerva McGonagall, and she seems to genuinely care about Tessa, and I'm really hoping that this isn't just a facade and that she genuinely does care, because I seem to really like her. And she's married to Henry, so I was right about that. And Henry seems to be like a scientist, which isn't surprising since I know he helps Magnus invent portals. So, I'm loving that. And he came into the dining room with like his sleeve on fire and everyone's just like, Henry! He's like, oh, I'm on fire. Turns out he'd put some sort of flame retardant on his clothes. So he wasn't even burnt, but still, you were on fire, dude. fire. And then we meet, we haven't met Jem yet, apparently he's not feeling well. But we meet Jessamine, who unfortunately is apparently a bigot and was extremely rude to Tessa. And seems to be rude to everyone. So I'm not a fan of Jessamine at the moment. Maybe she gets better, but so far, no. We've met someone called Sophie, who's got a scar on her face from something, and near as I can tell, it may have something to do with Will. Maybe. And she seems lovely, and she doesn't take crap from Will. She calls him out on it too much, to Tessa's shock, because she's kind of like a servant. And she's like, servants can't speak back to the gentleman. What is going on? And they've got a mundane living with them. Oh, what was his name? No, okay. Thomas. Yes, Thomas is living with him, and he's a mundane with the sight, and apparently some humans naturally born with the sight, and they tend to work with shadow hunters and serve them, and so Thomas's parents served Charlotte's parents, and now he's serving Charlotte, and one day his kids will serve her kids. So, and he seems to be sweet on Sophie, so hopefully maybe something there, because he seems like a nice lad. Though, Tessa remarks that he seems a bit lonely. So, But there's only like 6 people living in this place, so I'm not surprised. It seems to be a pattern with institutes. They have a massive building that can see hundreds and hundreds of shadow hunters, and yet you have like 7 of them in the building. Okay, Will is trying me at the moment. See, sometimes he's witty and like, I'm like, okay, you're kind of funny, but he was just really rude to Tessa at this point. He's like, you don't know me, you don't know nothing, I'm not an orphan, nah, 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 nah. I'm like, okay, but it's not like you've exactly told her the opposite, dude, chill out. You haven't told her, so how could she? Just stop. Stop. He's given her the Shadowhunter Codex to read because near as they can figure about Tessa, she is a downworlder, but they don't know what kind, and they're very confused. And she showed them the change and the in shock because no one can do that. So, yeah. And yeah, it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. So I will get back to you with more later, but that's where I'm up to now. Yeah. Hey, so this is going back on my blog about reading Clockwork Angel. I haven't gotten any further, but something I forgot to add in my previous 2 videos that I've just remembered I forgot to add it, was there's this weird ass club, I can't remember the name, but it's the one that was holding Tessa hostage. And apparently Ragnar and Magnus have been showing up at the club. And I'm just like, my boys, what are you doing? Ragnar, you're supposed to be the sensible one. So I'm hoping that gets explained properly, because that's my first mention of Magnus in this series, and I'm like, I'm not thrilled, because this is not the Magnus I know. And Ragnar, you're meant to be a recluse. What are you doing? So, let's hope for the best. I'm hoping to get back into it very soon, but I've been on a real fanfiction binge lately. And something I haven't mentioned, but I'll probably do a video soon, so you can, if I do, and it comes out before this, then you know just how long it's taking me to read this book. And that is, I am moving, so I am rapidly running out of time to do anything. I had to resign from my job at Subway, because I just don't have time, because I've got to finish sorting out something for my parents in the parish, as well as pack up my entire room, which is going to be a very big project. So, pray for me about that, and I hope I get to this book soon. But like I said, I've been on a massive fanfiction binge. I've been reading Naruto and Game of Thrones and just a bunch of others. I think one of my latest ones was 007 and Q-Fix, so that's James Bond, and the Skyfall James Bond, not any others. So, I'm not doing well. But hopefully I'll get into the mood to read it and I'll just binge it because I am enjoying it so far, but it hasn't grabbed me. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. And yeah, this is all going to be edited somehow, so I have no idea how this is going to look because this will be my first time properly editing a bunch of videos together, so we'll see. Anyway, bye. Okay, that's creepy.
We'll take them one by one.
Please agree to it. Damn, Henry, with the quotes. Inanimate objects are harmless indeed, Mr. Warming. But one cannot say the same of the men who use them. Nice. Oh, I really hope they love each other. Okay, we will pause there at chapter 7. So I finally got back into it, and wow, that took me 17 minutes to read a chapter. And I've realized I'm further along than I thought I was, because I'm almost at 200 pages, so I actually have made quite a bit of progress. There's 500 pages in total, but not the exact number of pages in this book, because it's got an extract from Chain of Gold, which obviously I'm not reading because I haven't finished the series yet, so why would I read that? But it's getting really, really good and really interesting, and we just found out who the Magistra is, and okay, relief, not a demon, or her demon father, or anything like that. It is the head of the vampire clan in London, and they're supposed to be allies, and I'm like, okay, and yet you're doing experiments on mundanes? What is it with you vampires? I mean, Raphael's good, and I've seen Lily in the one book I read in Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy, and she sounds fabulous. So I know you're not all bad, but you've also got vamps like Camille, and I think it's Raphael who said this at one point. Immortality doesn't suit everyone, and warlocks were specially designed for it. They're literally born to be immortal. But vampires are humans who are made immortal. Not all of them cope with it. So it could be he's completely lost the plot. He's running the Pandemonium Club, which Magnus and Ragnar are apparently a part of, which I've mentioned to you before. And we find this all out because Charlotte and Henry Branwell, who I really hope are like sincerely married couples and just truly, truly love each other. Seems like Charlotte does love Henry, and Henry's really fond of her, but I'm hoping it's actual love. Because I really like them as a couple. And they speak to a mundane who knows about Shadowhunters and Nephilim and the Shadow World, and the Charlotte's obviously horrified and like, wait, what? How do you know about us? But then she uses it to her advantage and basically schools the dude, and is like, there are reasons why mundanes are not supposed to mess with demons and the downworld, why we're supposed to protect you, and she gives him a warning and hopefully saves his life. Because yes, do not mess with demons, you idiotic mundanes. Leave it to the warlocks if it has to be done. And apparently, so you've got werewolves, vampires, and warlocks in this club, but not the Fae, because they don't want to have anything to do with humans, because the Industrial Revolution is in full swing with trains and factories and whatnot, and ruining the countryside, so they don't want anything to do with humans, particularly the ones who are members of the Pandemonium Club, because they're often entrepreneurs who run businesses and stuff, so they're helping contribute to the ruination of their precious forests and whatnot. So they get quite a bit of information about him, and she tricks him, and it is beautiful. And I hope he doesn't die, because he does seem like an actual nice man, just caught up in the wrong crowd, you know? So if he dies, I'm going to be rather sad. And then, the weirdest part that made me go, the F, is they go to the house, Will and Jem, and the body of the girl they find is a robot. It's a clockwork. She's made of clockwork parts, and I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit too Doctor Who for me. With, you remember the clockwork gear people? Where's my should be in here. Clockwork. Clockwork Robots 26. Like these guys. If you watch Doctor Who, you know what I'm talking about. And it's just sounding far too close to that. And I'm like, no, thank you. And the woman was screaming, beware, beware, you Nephilim who hunt the demons. You shall now be hunted by things that are neither demon nor Nephilim. And I'm like, are you creating a clockwork army? It is beyond creepy. And yes, the vampires and Magistrate who wanted to marry Tessa, and I'm like, well, thank goodness we got her out of that, because he sounds really bad. And Will is acting like a complete douche to Tessa, because he can't confront emotional problems at all, and she's very good at dealing with those. So he's not handling it well, but she is handling him like a boss. She's just like, okay, you want to be rude? I don't care. And Jessamine, we're learning more about her. So her parents were Shadowhunters who got away from the Shadowhunter world. They left the Clave. They didn't want anything to do with it. But unfortunately, they died in a fire. So Jessamine had to go and live at the Institute because there was nowhere else for her. But she doesn't want to be a Shadowhunter. She's rebelling against it. She doesn't want it at all. She just wants to be a lady. She just wants to be normal, an ordinary person. And they came across a goblin, and the goblin tried to attack them because they wandered off the path or whatever. And she killed him with her umbrella, and she's all upset about it because she's like, I don't want this. I don't want anything to do with it. So honestly, she doesn't have to be so rude about it, but I can respect it, okay? You don't want this life. I get that. You don't have to be rude to everyone about it. So, the series is this book is really taking off. I'm really enjoying it, and hopefully I'll read more tomorrow, but I'm moving, and I've got to pack, and I've got to get all these clothes in order, so, and I'm gonna have to make the really hard decision of what books to pack and what books can go in my suitcase over, and I'm just like, I'm having a hard time deciding. Like, obviously this one's going over with me if I haven't finished it by then. If I haven't finished it by then things are going really slow. So I'm gonna see if I can at least take this Clockwork Angel and Fallen Angel and Clockwork Prince, because that's the order of which I've got to read them, because you've got to read them in publication order apparently. I'm not looking forward to City of Fallen Angels, because like I said before in a previous video, I read the first 10 or so pages, and there was a new love triangle, and I'm just like, and also Sebastian's back, and I'm like, woo. And if he's even a fraction of what he's like in the TV show, I'm going to be driven crazy. So, I'm really not looking forward to reading City of Fallen Angels. I'm really not looking forward to reading City of Lost Soul, because I know that's City of Lost Souls is when Malik breaks up, and I'm like, I know you get back together, but that does not make it okay. I did get spoiled for something that happens, and I'm actually a bit sad. I got spoiled for something that happens in Lady Queen of Air and Darkness. Malik get married, and I'm like, that's wonderful, but I would have loved to have been surprised by it, because I've been spoiled enough for this series. But like I said, I haven't been spoiled for the actual plot, just the characters themselves, so that's actually really good, because it means I'm going to be surprised by the plot, which I'm really happy about. And also, Henry Branwell is quickly making his way to being like my second favorite after Tessa, because he's an inventor, and he just loves building things, and he's so adorable, and I'm just like, ee! So, yeah. I don't know how this video is going to turn out, because what I'm going to try to do is fast forward that section where I was reading, so you can just get a bit of me reading, and I'll slow down the sections where I'm actually talking. But I don't know if I'll succeed. I'm going to download a video editing software, and we'll see how it goes. This is a great big experiment for me. But it is really good. I am pleasantly surprised by how much I'm enjoying this. I thought I wouldn't. I thought it'd be far too heavy on the romance, but so far, the only romance really is between Henry and Charlotte, and they're adorable. So, yeah. I love all of the characters so far. Like, I thought Jessamine was going to drive me nuts, but now I know her reasoning. I like her a bit more. Like, she's still extremely rude, but I like her a bit more. And it's really good. But one thing, they keep mentioning the Lightwood dude. What's his name? Gabriel Lightwood, and he seems to have the sword that all Lightwoods before Alec, Izzy, and little Max, Jace, because he's honorary member. have, which is bigotry and standoffishness and pride and very rude. Because apparently every time they need to borrow a carriage, they have to borrow from him, and he deliberately gives them the worst one. A real prize, I'm sure. So, yeah, it's really, really good. I am very curious as to finding out Tessa's story, and getting a bit more on her brother and whatnot. He got mixed up in the wrong crowd, basically, and is working for the vampire dude. So it's like the Kale or something. I don't know. I only saw the name once. Cut me a break. But this is gonna be interesting. Till next time that I actually pick up the book. Hopefully tomorrow. Alright. Bye, guys. Hey, everyone. Sarah here. Alright, I'm up to chapter 9 now. Things are really starting to get intense. So in the past 2 chapters, we've studied the automaton girl. It was Miranda, the thing I thought was a golem, so I was kind of right. And the Dark Sisters are revealed to most likely be warlocks. So again, I was half right because I thought they were demons. And Tessa, Camille Belcourt's come in to help them take down De Quincey, who is the head vampire who's doing all the awful things, and apparently hosts parties where they murder mundanes. We have been reassured that Magnus does not go to those parties. He's recused himself from them. And apparently he's going to help them get into the party, because Tessa's going to disguise herself as Camille, and Will is going to go in as a mundane subjugate, and Magnus is going to guide them around because he knows his way around. And I'm like, this is not going to end well. Will is so reckless. I wish it could have been Jem, but it can't be Jem. So we've just got to hope that everything goes well. I'm doubting, but we can hope. And I keep having to remind myself that Will has black hair, not blonde. Because every time I read Will, I'm thinking of Jace, and Jace has blonde hair, and I'm like, no, he has black hair and blue eyes. So that's the thing. We learned about what happened to Sophie. She was a parlour maid, and the heir, tried to seduce her, and she kept refusing, so he stabbed her cheek with a knife. And when she tried to explain to his mother, he accused her of trying to steal his virtue. So she was thrown out on the street. But she says she's thankful for it, because it means that whoever will come to love her will love her for her and not for her looks. So I guess that's a plus, but still. And Henry's working on some sort of invention with his witchlight, which should be interesting. Henry is just getting more and more adorable. And again, I really hope him and Charlotte truly, truly love each other, because Jessamine said that Charlotte does, but Henry might not. And I'm just like, oh, please let them love each other. It'd be so nice. And Jessamine's acting a bit more stuck up than normal, because she is upset about having to have killed the goblin, because that's what Shadowhunters do, and she doesn't want to be one. So we'll see. Anyway, I've officially reached over the 200 mark. I'm on 215, so I'm almost halfway. I am plowing through. Might read a bit more tonight, we'll see. But yeah, it's good. Anyway, see you guys next time. Hey, so I'm back, and I just read chapter 9 of Clockwork Angel, and I'm right. It is getting to the point where I'm just not going to want to stop and keep marathoning, which is great, because I just wanted this book to be one of those books that I marathon. But now I'm just going to find time to do it, and it's not going to be tonight, because it's already 10:30, and I've got to get up tomorrow, so I'm hoping tomorrow afternoon, when it gets too hot to do any actual work, I can just sit down and just marathon the book until it's finished. This entire chapter was brilliant. It's the Enclave, or Enclave, or however you pronounce it, chapter. And the amount of sass that Will exudes in this one is brilliant. I'm just like, I love your sass, Will Herringdale. You may be a bit of an idiot, but you have extreme sass. And then it's like, and then it brings up the duck thing, because Herringdales are always afraid of ducks, and they ate it too, Will reminisce. Bloodthirsty little beasts. Never trust a duck. Never trust a duck. It almost sounds like something the Doctor would say. And then we had our first meeting with Gabriel Lightwood. I was right, I do not like him. Pompous little git. His father seems to have a fondness for downworlders, which I find interesting because he's a Lightwood. And he has something against Will, and I'm sure that'll be explained. As part of it is apparently a rumour about how Will took his sister's virtue, if I put it that way. And we had an Enclave meeting, and typically it's full of politics and blah blah blah, and they all want more power, and they're suggesting that Charlotte should stand down, because apparently she's only 23, and I'm like, what? I thought she was like 30. She's only 23? No wonder she's brilliant. She hasn't had a chance to be influenced by all these fuddy-duddies. And people in the council were interesting, because you had George Branwell, I think, who was interesting, and Henry arrived just as the meeting was ending with one of his inventions, which typically went a little bit chaotic, and shortly before he entered, the stupid people in the meeting were belittling Henry, and I'm like, don't you talk bad about my boy, he's a sweetheart. So that pissed me off. I don't like the Lightwoods, either of them. Benedict was trying to cause trouble with the plan, and Gabriel was saying he should do it instead of Will because you shouldn't trust Will, and I'm like, you don't have the background to do this plan. Literally, Will is the only other person who can go in with Tessa and be believable. So shut up. And stop complaining over spilt milk. Anyway, I am really, really enjoying this book, and I can't wait to marathon the rest. I am almost halfway, because there's 500 pages in this story. I'm at 241, so I'm just 9 pages shy of halfway. And yeah, so hopefully tomorrow I can just finish it and let you know my full thoughts, and then edit it and post this video next week. Because I'm really, really looking forward to being able to do that. And wish me luck again, because this will be my first time properly editing something like this. Like, I kind of did one with my most recent video I've posted, because I had to do a couple of edits because I forgot a couple of books, and I forgot freaking Fork the Witch and the Worm, Tales of Allegasia Volume 1 by Christopher Polini, which I'm so sad about because I loved that book. It was like coming home. It was just, it's wonderful. I would have cancelled the upload and just quickly edited it in, but unfortunately I packed the book. But just know, I do love that book, and I was so glad to get it, and I'm eagerly awaiting Volume 2. And maybe that one will be from Murtag's point of view. Or Nasuda. I'd love to hear from Nasuda. Anyway, I am reading this, I promise. And like I said, I'm in the process of packing, so I've had to keep out City of Fallen Angels and Clockwork Prince, because I'm doing as Paul and Banana's books, aka Christine Riccio, recommended and reading in publication order. So next one will be City of Fallen Angels, which I'm not looking forward to. And then Clockwork Prince, and I'm really hoping that I don't end up marathoning those and then wanting the next ones out, because I have packed the rest, and I can't get to them. So, probably won't though, because I don't have a lot of time left. We're coming to the end of December, and I've got camp, and I've got to just keep packing, so that's a worst case scenario that is like 1% chance of happening. Anyway, talk to you next time. Bye guys. Okay, I finished it. Clockwork Angel, it's done! I finished it. I just read like 250 pages in one day. So, woo woo! It was, oh, this book was so good. So good, I can't eat. Yeah, see, this is where I started. And then okay, I didn't read all of that because, like I said, there's an extract from Chain of Gold in this version, but I finished and, Nelly, a lot happened, a lot. Okay, so they went to De Quincy's to try and, take him down. We saw Magnus, been fabulous as usual. And then that went to hell because the person in the chair that they were going to do all the torturing experiments I mentioned was Nate, her brother. And so, of course, Tessa flipped out screaming that they have to save him, which is fair enough. If it was my brother in the chair, I would do the exact same thing. But but that, of course, meant everything kind of went apart, and Henry's invention backfired, so it set everything on fire. Which is both a blessing and a curse, because vampires got like this, but it also meant everything was very chaotic. Then the Enclave bursts in, and then De Quincy manages to escape, but they free Nate, and they get everyone back to the Institute, and then apparently 2 Nephilim died, but there must have been unknown Nephilim because I wasn't told, so they must have a lot of Nephilim that we don't see, because anyway, so Nate spends a couple of days recovering from the torture De Quincy put him through, and there's a moment between Will and Tessa where they kiss, and you're just like, honestly, I'm sure a lot of people swooned at that point, but me, I was just like, really, we got kissing going on? We got bigger priorities here, people. And then Will is typically standoffish after it happens, because that's just what he does. He has to push everyone away, because no one can be close. No, it's forbidden. Herondales. I swear I remember Jace doing the same thing. Must be genetic. And then Jem takes her on a walk through town, and it's lovely, and he's just so nice and comforting, and he's such a wonderful human being, but sadly, while they're out there, Clockwork people come for them because they want Tessa back, because the Magistrar is obsessed. And they give the warning again that there will be a war on the Nephilim, with an army that is neither demonic nor angelic, and blah blah blah. And you're just like, wonderful. Managed to get back to the Institute, just Jem collapses with blood everywhere, and you're just like, no, Jem, you got hurt. And Tessa's like, no, we got hurt because of me, because he took me out with him. No. And then he reveals later on that it wasn't her fault. It was the illness that he's got, and he tells us his old tragic story where his mother was a really good shadow hunter and put a stop to this demon Yangu or something like that. And put a stop to a lot of his activities, but not him. And he's a great demon, so he can't really die. He's immortal. And so he bided his time and worked out how to get into the Shanghai Institute, captured the 3 of them, Jem and his parents, and tortured him for days. And eventually you could only hear his parents constantly crying from when he broke out of his hallucinations and delirium. Eventually you could only hear his mother, and then by the time the other Shadowhunters realized, hang on, we haven't heard from the Institute in a while, something must be wrong, they're both dead, and he now has a debilitating addiction to this demon drug. And if he doesn't take it, he will die quickly. If he does take it, he will die slowly. So when he has to go into a fight, he has to take more, and he hadn't taken any that night, and that's why he collapsed. And I'm just like, why do bad things happen to pathetically good people? And so that was tragic. And then Jessamine's got all these designs for Nate, because she wants out, and she sees him as a ticket. So that's the whole thing, and she's being very rude to Tessa and just very, very annoying. Because I'm like, sweetie, I can respect the fact you don't want to be a shadow hunter, but what I cannot tolerate is your rudeness. And then they come up with, and then Nate eventually wakes up and freaks out because shadow hunters, and he's been told they're monsters and whatever. And then he tells them all of De Quincey's plans and that he's the Magistrat and where he will be hiding, that sort of thing. So the Enclave makes the decision to go and get and attack De Quincey and get rid of the Magistrat. And then while the young ones are stuck behind at the Institute, Mordain, I think is how you pronounce his name, turns up and says the Dark Sisters are planning on animating the Clockwork Army, and one of them is reviving the other, because I was right, one of them died. And so Will and Jem decide they have to go out and fix this. This leaves the Institute with just Thomas, Sophie, Agatha, Jessamine, Nate, and Tessa in it. And of them, only Jessamine is a shadow hunter, and she's the one shadow hunter who refuses to be a shadow hunter. So, of course, after they leave, after Jem and Will leave, they immediately get attacked by Clockworks. And Agatha dies, and you're just like, no! Because, okay, admittedly, we didn't meet her much in this book, but she seemed lovely. And then it's all fight, and Jessamine gets knocked out, and Thomas is there with his broadsword, and he's fighting so bravely. They grab Tessa, she manages, but her angel necklace comes to life and manages to save her, so she's able to break free. She grabs Sophie, who's crying over Agatha at this point, and they try and head towards the sanctuary. They're running and running while Thomas is holding them up, and then they get there. Oh, and during this whole climactic thing, it was revealed that Nate summoned Mordain, and that Mordain is the Magistrat, not De Quincey. And I'm just like, no! And Nate summoned him, and he's like a fanatical cult member. And he's all like, oh, my life is going to be so much better with him, and you are no sister of mine, and whatever, and I don't care what happens to you. And I'm just like, well, good, now tying with Sebastian for the worst brother in history. It's just... Oh, and he's completely fanatical. And they manage to get into the sanctuary, and Jessamine had knocked Nate out, so they get in there, and then freaking Jessamine hears Will's voice and decides to let them in, because like, oh, it must be Will. And Tessa realizes, like, no, it can't be Will. It's too quick. And she goes, no, wait, don't open the door. She opens the door. And the Clockwork Army storms in with Mordain, and he sends off Nate to go and get the Pixies thing, because that's got demon energies in it. And then Mordain's got Sophie and Jessamine with the Clockworks at like throats, so he's like, help, if you either come with me, he says to Tessa, or I will kill your friends. So obviously Tessa does the right thing, and they get dragged off. And Tessa she's got a knife, and she's like, I will stab myself if you don't leave this place, and if you don't hurt my friends, I will stab myself. And then by this point, Will and Jem have found the Dark Sisters, worked it out. One is definitely still dead, and the other one that's trying to bring them back is actually a demon. The one that's dead was a warlock. And I think they set the place on fire in the end. There's a lot of fire in this book. And Will's like, okay, the carriage is going to be too slow, so I'm going to take one of the horses. So he takes one of the horses and charges off like Galahad or something. And Jem's stuck trying to fix it and then get there himself. So Will arrives first, and he finds Thomas lying on the ground in a pool of his own blood. Thomas is saying, no, if I was a shadow hunter, I could have done better. And you're just like, no, Thomas, you were perfect. And then he dies, and you're just like, no, Thomas, please, no. No! And then Wills goes tearing after, trying to save Tessa, and when Jem gets there, he comes across Jasmine and Sophie and manages to save them, but just as Clockwork's about to attack him, Henry comes in, because the Enclave have come back, because they've realized that what De Quincey said was right. I think they've still killed him anyway, but they've come back to try and help the Institute, and it's like, you're a bit late, man. Thomas is dead. And then he gets there, and Tessa has stabbed herself because she doesn't. Because Mordain wants her to change into someone, and she's like, no, I won't do it. No. So she stabs herself, and we think she's dead. And Mordain thinks she's dead, and Will turns up, and he's like, you killed her. And he's just like, no, she killed herself. And he says some other cryptic stuff before he vanishes, and Will goes rushing over to Tessa, and it's like, no! And then she turns and is like, Will, I'm fine, it's not my blood. And he's like, what? I did the change, because if you remember in the beginning, she did a change, and the blood came gushing out because the woman she changed into had been shot. And so she just quickly changed and let the blood come out before turning back into herself, so it looked like she was dead to Mordain. This girl is so clever, and I love it. I love her. She's brilliant. But he's like, I have nothing, I have no one, and he's thinking in his head, I'm like, Will, okay, if this is about the demon thing, I'm gonna smack you, because seriously, never trust a demon. And those of you who are looking at me confused as to how I know this, or what on earth I'm talking about, I told you I was spoiled for character arcs. I know that Will thinks he was cursed by a demon. Then he actually wasn't. And I think that's what the epilogue was about when he goes to see Magnus. But it cuts off before we find out. And then, so after that, we have the funerals for the Shadowhunters who died, and the actual Clave arrives, and the Inquisitors spent like hours interrogating her and Will, trying to find discrepancies in the stories or whatever, and he nearly makes her strip naked. Because he's like, we must find this warlock mark. But fortunately, Charlotte puts a stop to it. I'm like, my queen, yes. And then there's talk that the Institute might get taken from Charlotte and Henry because they played into the Magistral's plans. And it's like, Bish, like you could do better. And Benedict's always wanted the Institute, and it wasn't for Consul Wayland giving it to them directly, he would be running it, and I'm like, well, then we'd all be much worse off, wouldn't we? So Tessa's staying in the Institute because that will help them keep ties with the Downworlders and will help keep Charlotte and Henry in charge of the Institute, which is what we want because we love Charlotte and Henry. And Will's being a douche canoe and completely ignoring Tessa and making like he doesn't have feelings for her and that all he wants to do is use her for her body. So, typical Herondale. Because he's reminding me so much of Jace, and it's not a good thing. And then Jem explains to her that it's not that, it can't be that, he's just being Will, and that the Institute can be a family for her, and it's all lovely, and the necklace comes back, which is awesome, and yeah, then it ends with him going to meet Magnus, and I'm like, well, this book was seriously good. I was disappointed by the lack of Magnus. Okay, just adding this in because, okay, hopefully this works. This is plugged in. Because I just have been watching Extine May's review of, that's Paul Bananas Books, Christine Riccio's video on Clockwork Angel, and I forgot to say a few things. So one was, Church was in it, the cat! When I realized it was Church, I was just like, yes! Church! I have an unreasonable love for cats, so that made me really happy. And then we never got a straight answer of what Tessa is. Mordain? I swear I'm going to completely get this guy's name wrong every single time. I'm sorry. Kept going on about how he made her, but he's also human. So I'm like, dude, how could you have made her if you're human? What is wrong with you? And then he was saying how her mother didn't know what she was. And I'm like, so Tessa doesn't know what she is, and her mother didn't know what she is.
So this leads credence to my theory of her mother being a shadow hunter and her father being a demon. But that's supposedly impossible, so... I don't know. And yeah, we don't know what the Infernal Devices are. Why is this series called the Infernal Devices? Why? Anyway, we've got all these questions that I'm hoping will be answered soon, but like I said, I'm going to be going through the other two books slowly because I want to eke them out until I'm in Melbourne and I can unpack the others, because if I go through them too quickly, I'm going to be mad because I can't get to the other books because I've packed them. So I'm just going to go through slowly. So yeah. But I think once I do get to Melbourne, because I'll have a week or so, if I do my unpacking real quick, I will be able to have like a couple of days where I can just read. So hopefully I can just marathon my way through the rest of the books. Though it does mean there probably won't be vlogs like this one, because I'm hoping to blow through them. Well, at least the Clockwork ones. The other ones maybe not. They might take longer. We'll see. Anyway, I just want to add those in, and full credit to Paul Banana's books, because she got me thinking of those parts. So, and I'm about to go and watch Jesse the Readers, so I may add in another clip as well. This is going to be a great experiment in editing for me. I may have to download different software. Anyway, yeah. If I think of something else, you'll see another jump cut. Because there really wasn't a lot of him. But other than that, it was fabulous. And 10 out of 10 would recommend. I really, really enjoyed this. I'm not looking forward to the love triangle. I'm sure it's going to spring up. But the next book I'm going to be reading is City of Fallen Angels, because you're supposed to read it in the order it came out in, so I can't jump to Clockwork Prince. I've kept out City of Fallen Angels and Clockwork Prince. Hopefully I won't get through those too quickly because I've packed the rest of my Cassandra Clare books. So, yeah. But, yeah. This was really, really good. I'm glad I finally read it, and I was glad that I actually was able to marathon the rest of it, because that's how I prefer to read books. I don't like reading them in little bite-sized bits. I like marathoning them. I think I've covered everything. I think I have. Yeah. Okay, so I'll end this video here. I will be editing all of this together, which I've said like 20 times during the course of this video. And yeah, so let me know your thoughts on Clockwork Angel down in the comments below. Please don't leave any spoilers for the actual plot. I'm enjoying being surprised. And yeah, so like or comment or maybe even subscribe if you want to. I will leave a link for my last video here, or here, wherever it ends up going. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna go now because my room is becoming an oven, and also I really want to go and watch my YouTubers' perspectives on this book now. So, bye guys, thanks for watching.